Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Detroit Red Wings franchise mode here in NHL 21. And today's episode is the second last episode of our series, as we're just going to be doing the entire season simulation in this episode. And the next episode, if we make it, will be the playoff simulation. And yeah, hopefully we can make it back to the playoffs again like we did last year. And hopefully this team simulates better than they did last year. I think our team does look a little bit better than last year. Mainly because we do have a better goalie. Also, our forward core looks actually not too bad. We do have a youngster jumping into the lineup in Matt Gustafsson. Like, we don't look like, I would say, a stud team, but based on how we're built up with our veterans and our younger guys, I think our team looks pretty good. And then defensively, our defensive core is probably our most questionable part going into the season. But obviously, I would really like to keep Marcos Biggs in the lineup, so we're probably just going to not make any trades in this episode, I would assume, and just see how this team plays out, even if this is the final season. We did also pick up a new backup goalie and sent House down to the AHL because he didn't retire. So yeah, Rohan House isn't going to play in the NHL this year, which kind of sucks, but it makes sense because we definitely need a better backup. And then also we do have some decent depth options as well. So yeah, hopefully this is a good last season simulation, and hopefully we can make it back to the playoffs. Now, Hawks fan was wondering if there was any current NHL players that were still playing in this franchise mode, and I checked, and there wasn't at all. So, like, the oldest guys are guys that were drafted in, like, year number 1 that are, like, 39 years old in this. So, yeah, there's no real-life players left in the NHL, at least. There might be some in the AHL, but I haven't checked that, so anyways, that is that, and that is our roster going into the season. Hopefully we have a good year, because if we miss the playoffs, then the next episode will probably just be like a recap episode of, like, I don't know, well, not really a full-on recap. It would probably just be checking over like player stats and stuff from our franchise mode and all that. But yeah, we don't really have any time left anyways, so because even if I didn't end this series at the end of next episode, we would only have, like, I think 1 year left of simulation, because we've done 24 years almost at this point, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, anyways, let's get this season simulated and see how we do. We're going to take this a little bit slower than we did in our Atlanta episode that you guys would have seen yesterday, just because of the fact that this team obviously is not as good as our Atlanta team is. So let's see how we do in this preseason and see if we can have a decent little time there. And then hopefully the regular season we do pretty good too. Because this team, I think, is on the up and up, but I feel like also a lot of our guys are going to start dropping off because of their age, because guys like Caden Matthews are getting old, Caden Dingman, Powell is also old, De Kaiser's old. So we got to watch out for some drop-off throughout the season in terms of our age. So 4-3 in the preseason, not too bad, not too great either. Who led us in points? It was Amir De Kaiser. Okay, 8 points in 7 games, not too bad. Let's get started and simulate up to November the 1st. Take it a little bit slow, but then again, this simulation is going to go a little bit slower since we're still on our Xbox One. Because last time when I was recording the Atlanta episode, which you guys would have seen yesterday, it was quite slow by comparison to current generation consoles. Well, not current gen, but next gen, I guess you could say. We win our first game of the season 8-5, so that's a bright spot. Good offensive game, not a good defensive game, which I was expecting, but 7-3, damn. I don't really like our defensive play in our first little bit. It seems like this simulation is actually going faster than my Atlanta one for some reason, unless I'm just used to the speed now. Game against, there's a couple more win on the loss. Not off to a great start though this year, which I don't like. 3-5. Come on, boys, get to 4-5, please. There you go, 9-1 win over Columbus. I like that. So 4-5 in our first month, not that great of a first month, but not a terrible month near the end of it. And Caden Matthews has got 13 points in 9 games, which is ridiculous. But it looks like our division is going to be a tight race to get into the playoffs this year, which I don't really like. Yeah, this is probably going to be a really tough year to get into the playoffs, I feel like. If we do make it into the playoffs, though, that would be pretty awesome, but I don't know if it's going to actually happen this year. Okay, let's continue to simulate. See if we can get above 500 by the end of November. So we'll go to December the 1st. But yeah, hopefully this team can start turning the page and winning a lot of games in a row, because I think we do have a pretty solid roster. And then also the addition of the new backup goalie should help a little bit. As Lilia goes down, so that's not good, because that does make our defensive core a little bit weaker. Shootout loss to Colorado after we won against them in a shootout. I don't think I've ever seen back-to-back shootouts against the same team. As Lilia has returned, that is good news because we need that defensive core to stay pretty healthy this year because or else we're not going to be that good of a team. But there's a lot of teams with worse defensive cores than us, which is kind of crazy. Game against Calgary is a nice win as well. Game against New Jersey is a loss. There's a win over Montreal. So we're kind of inconsistent so far, but that's okay. We're bouncing back from our terrible start. Or not terrible start, but bad start. 9-6-1 at the stage. And there's a loss against the Islanders. Yeah, we're a little bit inconsistent, but that's okay. As long as we get into the playoffs and we somehow be a cheese team and win a cup, maybe. Because it would be nice to win a cup to end this franchise mode, but realistically speaking, I don't think that's going to happen. Because our team is probably not as good as the top contenders. And last game of the month is a loss. So 13-10-1, not a fantastic record, but it is above 500. And we are in a wildcard spot currently. And we also have games in hand over Tampa Bay, which is good. Okay, we're in a good spot right now in terms of games played wise. We've played the least amount of games in our division. And we're in a playoff spot at the moment. Caden Matthews is over point per game with 29 points in 24 games, which is pretty good. I like the sounds of that. Let's continue to simulate, and hopefully this team could continue to have an above 500 record, because we could all of a sudden go on a losing streak and miss the playoffs. We've had that happen before, so let's go to January the 1st. Get December done with, and hopefully we could win a lot of games. 8-7 shootout loss. I mean, it's a point, but that is a hard 1 point only. Like, imagine scoring 7 goals in a game and only getting 1 point out of a game. It's not good. We suffered 3 straight losses technically then, and then we do win against New York. Game against Chicago is another win. Yeah, we're a little bit inconsistent, kind of like Atlanta was in our last episode. If you guys have seen that episode, we were pretty inconsistent. But as long as we could keep on hanging around or above 500, we should do good. Hopefully this team could go on a tear all of a sudden out of nowhere, though. But we are getting a lot of OT and extra time points, which is a good thing in a sense, because that could help us make the playoffs. Yeah, there's another OT loss. We've had a lot of OT games and shootout games this month. And game against Buffalo is a 5-4 loss. So 3 straight losses going into next month, or 4 straight losses, which is not good. 17-16-5 on the season now as well. That's not good. Let's see. We are not in a playoff spot now. We have 39 points in 38 games. The Lightning have the last playoff spot with 44 points in 39 games. But the Flyers are up there with 41 points in a wildcard spot. So we're just behind the Flyers pretty much, and that's who we need to technically chase at this stage. But yeah, that was not as great of a month. Let me go to our edit lines and maybe make some line adjustments if there is some badly minus players. Maybe it's our second line. Yeah, it's our second line. Okay, so we're going to take DeKaiser down, because even though he's good. And we're going to move Reardon up, because Reardon deserves an opportunity to play in the top 6 for sure. Do something like that, I think. Even though that's an all right-handed line, which I don't really like. Yeah, we'll try something like that. I could always try and flip Pau and Belanger around, but I don't think I'm going to do that. How about the defensive core? Any badly minus players? Not really. Except for the top 6 pairing. Yeah, I think we'll leave the rest of that the same. How about that 4th line, though? It's not too bad. Okay, we'll leave the rest of that the same. And yeah, hopefully this team could have a good bounce back month, because we still have an okay record in terms of where we are in the standings, but last 10 games we're 3-4-3, which is a little weird. So let's just continue to simulate. I really hope we make the playoffs, because if we don't, that's not going to be good, especially considering the next episode would be the finale and we wouldn't be even in a playoff spot. It would just be like a recap probably. Come on, boys. There's a nice win over Boston. Then we lose to the Canes. Yeah, we're still really inconsistent, and this team is just dropping down in overalls because of age. But we do also have a lot of younger guys that are developing well, so it's kind of a weird status that we're at. There's some wins and some losses. Yeah, we're just bouncing back between wins and losses at this stage. Last 2 games of the month, or last 3 games of the month, is a loss. Another loss, that's not good. And another loss, yikes. 21, 22, and 5. And we're almost at February. Oh, I don't know if I like that. We're not in the playoff spot again. 47 points in 48 games. The last playoff team has 48 points in 48 games, and it's the Pittsburgh Penguins. Rangers and the Flyers are also competing for a playoff spot. Same with the Caps and the Blue Jackets, technically. Yikes. I like that our top line's way over point per game, like Hayden Matthews especially, looks like. But, I don't really know what we could do in terms of adjustments. Lange's been good, 30 points. It's not that we've been a bad offensive team. It seems like our defensive team... Yeah, we haven't been as good defensively. I'm going to move Gustafsson up because he's more offensively minded and move Andrews down since... Actually, Andrews is offensively minded too. Interesting. I don't know what I could do with this. I'm going to just try and flip-flop Gustafsson and Andrews for fun. See if that changes anything. And yeah, that top 6 defensive pairing of Biggs and Rodriguez is not working together. Biggs is old, but that's the only thing we could do pretty much in terms of this defensive core to get it to work, I think. Yeah, there's nothing I could do with this defensive core unless I took Biggs out of the lineup. I don't think Cracknell would even work there, though, would he? No, he wouldn't. But yeah, Biggs is not doing too good in his last season. Like, it has a +1, so it should be okay. Unless both those guys are on the penalty kill at some point. Let's just see. No, they're not both on the penalty kill. Yeah, I don't really know what the problem is then. I can't address it because that defensive core... Like, the defensive core looks fine right now, but then you look at the plus-minus between these two guys and you know that that defensive pairing is the problem right now. Either that defensive pairing or the fourth line was the problem. Silvito's okay to be down there. Schumacher. Yeah, I think we'll just leave the rest of this the same. So just make that change with Gustafsson and Andrews, and hopefully it gets us some wins down the stretch, because if we do not win enough down the stretch, we are not going to be a playoff team. But yeah, this team, like I said, I didn't really figure that we were going to be a super good team this year, but I thought we were going to be at least better than last year. And last year, I forget what our record was, but it wasn't that great, and we still made it into the playoffs. Okay, so now that we're at February the 1st, we got 25 days to assimilate before the deadline. I don't know if we're going to make any trades, but who knows, maybe we will have to, because this team, if we want to make the playoffs, we might have to make a trade. It all depends on how this month is. So we start off with a win and a loss. What a surprise. Inconsistencies. Game against Chicago. 7-2 loss. I don't like that. Game against the Flyers. 6-1 win. Yeah, we're still being really inconsistent, because we just keep bouncing between wins and losses. There's 2 straight losses. There's a win, though. Come on, boys. You got this in you. I know you can win games. Shootout loss. Still a point. Game against Florida is a 3-1 loss. I might have to stop the simulation soon, because we're way below 500 now. This is not looking like a good last season. 25, 28, and 6. We do got still 2 games before the deadline. We lose 5-3 there, and we're now 25, 29, and 6. This is not looking good. 56 points. Last playoff team has 69 points and 66 there. We're 10 points back of a playoff spot. I don't think we're going to make the playoffs this final season, which really sucks. There's no way I'm going to be able to get this team out of this. Like, our team looks okay on paper, right? But it just isn't getting it done. Like, I don't want to separate the top line, because that top line has been phenomenal still. Actually, they're minus now. Wow, they're over a point per game, but they're minus. I didn't realize that. What could we do? What could we do? I'm going to take Deke off the top line, even though he's a good goal scorer. Just change some stuff around, try and get us the best chemistry we can. I can't do anything about this defensive core, though. Like, I could go like this, but I don't want to give Samson... I don't really want to move Samson down to the second pairing. But I'm going to do that just for something to see if we can get winning hockey. But yeah, our goaltending hasn't been good either this year. And our depth is complaining about ice time. It seems like, and well, actually, never mind. Cracknell's just dropping off a cliff all of a sudden. He was a 77, but now he's a 74. Yikes. Yeah, this is not looking good. Where it looks like we're going to miss the playoffs in our last season. Which we should have been better than that, but it is what it is. I mean, next episode we could still simulate to find out the retirements and all that stuff, and then pretty much just do a recap of all like the records and stuff like that. But this is not looking good. Since we're at the trade deadline, we have players over point per game, which is nice, but we're not even close to a playoff spot. Unless we can go on a complete run in March, we're not going to make the playoffs. And we lose 7-4 the day before the deadline. So we're going to go in still as a conservative buyer just to see what's available. But yeah, it's not looking good, guys, for this last episode. Damian Hamilton's on the block. Man, that would be really nice to bring in, but they want a whole lot for him. They want a first-round pick, a top forward prospect, and a top defensive prospect. Do I have anything to give up to get Damian Hamilton? I don't think he would really even help out our team that much. And we'd be over a cap hit, right? He does fit our top line, which is interesting, but I don't think we really have the value I could give up. Like, if we looked at draft picks, we do have our first round pick we could give up, but that is definitely going to be a high up pick. Skater wise, that they do like some of our prospects, which is good. Like, I could honestly just give them everything we have almost, considering this is the last season. But I don't really know if I want to do that. Reza. Let's see what else we got here. Draft picks. Second round pick. Yeah, we'd be still over the cap by how much? I don't even know how much over the cap we would be. Like, I'd have to add somebody who's making a big salary on this team. Which, in that sense, who's making a big salary? Like, I'd honestly have to give up one of our best players on this team. Which, in this case, would be... I'd have to probably give up Dingman in this trade. Because of how much he's worth. Like, replace Dingman with Hamilton. That would be a friggin' crazy trade, but I don't think it will work. Like, Dingman's getting paid more than Hamilton currently. There's just, like, no way possible that we're going to be able to get somebody like Damian Hamilton in. As good as he is, there's just no way I'm going to be able to afford somebody like him. Like, I could go to the trade finder and see if they have an offer in mind, but I honestly don't think we're going to be able to make a trade for any of these good guys, probably. Like, I really wouldn't mind having Hamilton, obviously, because he's a good goal scorer, and he could help their team get out of this, probably. But, yeah, there's no way we're going to be able to get him. Like, the asking price on him is way too high up as well. And the rest of these guys don't look too intriguing. Like, I don't know if there's anything we could do to get ourselves out of this situation that we're in. Like, we just don't have enough cap room either. It's the problem. Like, we could bring in somebody that's making like 10 mil, but we'd have to give up somebody that's making a good amount of money too. And I don't really want to give up Caden Matthews. I don't want to give up Dingman. Don't want to give up any of our top guys. Let me take a look at our player sets currently. I just want to see who's badly minus and stuff like that. Yeah, so it seems like everybody on our team is badly minus. Yeah, this is not going to be a playoff year for sure. Goaltending has been terrible. Yeah, so far Stevenson's been really bad. I don't know if it's because our team is bad in front of him. I don't think it is. Best plus minus on our team. Samson and Power both +1 somehow. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be making a trade, guys, in this episode. There's just no way we're going to be able to fix this team with the amount of cap we have, unfortunately. So we just have to rely on the sim engine to give us like a 10 or 15 game win streak to get us into the playoffs. But realistically, that's not going to happen. Man, this game is so slow. You guys can tell because of the screen. Should not even be showing the screen. It takes that long. Did Hamilton end up getting traded? I don't think he probably did, because probably the asking price was too high. This guy's on waivers, and he's not that great, so I'm not going to claim him. Okay, let's just take a quick look at the trades to see if Hamilton got dealt. I don't think he did, or else it would have popped up. Actually, I could just take a look at the rosters instead because these menus load really slowly. Now let's take a look at the Rangers. Yep, Damian Hamilton did not get traded, which is not a surprise. So he would have probably headed to free agency the next season afterwards, but let's continue to simulate this last season, see if we get somehow make a run back into the playoffs, but it's more than likely not going to happen because we're like 15 points back pretty much. Let's go to the 18th, see how we do in the first half of the month. But yeah, this is not looking good. I wish we had more than 25 years into franchise mode though, because this team would probably be able to get back to a playoff spot again in the next few years. But it seems just like with all the old guys we have on our team, we're kind of just dropping off a bit. Like Biggs is way too bad at this point, and he's been injured now. That might be almost the end of his career right there. But yeah, it's not looking too good for this team in the last season, which really sucks. Why does this have to be the last season? But I mean, NHL 22 is around the corner, so at least we have that going for us. We're only going to win one Stanley Cup in this franchise mode as well, and a lot of players are dropping off in morale problems because of us losing. Yeah, Biggs is still injured. Actually, I should probably put in somebody else there for a bit and then put why is this not even loading? The heck? Okay, I can't even press A on there for some reason on Sandlack. Okay, I don't know why this is not loading anything. Okay, I'm going to press B because the game's not even loading stuff, so we'll just let this play out for now while we wait for Biggs. And he's back. Man, this team... Yeah, this team is just dropping off completely now. I'm going to move Dika back to the top line because we're just going to go back to our lines we had. Try and get everybody to get going again. But yeah, this team just fell apart because of age pretty much near the end of it. We're going to move Samson probably back to the top pairing as well. Just get everything back to the way it was for this last little bit of the season. There's another win. That's 2 wins in a row. There's a loss though. And there's another win. Okay, so we're winning some games near the end of the year, but those don't really matter that much because we're not going to be a playoff team. Like, where are we in terms of the standings now? Probably way out of it. 66 points. We are currently 16 points back of a wildcard spot. 11 points back of the other wildcard spot, which is not too bad, but realistically speaking, with 10 games left in the season, it's not going to happen. If we somehow get to the playoffs in these last 10 games, I'm going to be really shocked, but I don't think it's going to happen. Let's see what happens. Game against Nashville. There's another win. Okay, 2 games in a row again. I like that. Loss though to Anaheim. There's another win. Yeah, those earlier season fumbles are going to cost us at the end, right? 33, 37, and 8. Where are we now? 74 points. Everybody's clinched in the both in all the Eastern Conference. Damn. Yep, we're not making the playoffs. We have 4 games left. The highest we could finish though is still 5th, which is just outside of a playoff spot, but it's literally like 10 points back, which is kind of crazy. Oh, this sucks that we're gonna miss the playoffs again, or we did miss the playoffs. This team hasn't been as good since we won a Stanley Cup for sure. 7-1 loss to Toronto there, 7-3 loss. And now the tank happens near the end. Watch, this would have been the year we would have got like the first overall pick in. Yeah, we lose 5 straight games at the end of the season. 6 straight games? 5 straight games, yeah. And we finished 33, 41, and 8. What a terrible year for this team. And yeah, we finished 2nd worst in our division. But we still had Caden Matthews over point per game, which is pretty crazy. Oh, man. I thought we could have had a chance to make the playoffs when I started this simulation, but that really blows. Let's take a look at our player stats for the season, as well as the team stats. And then we'll probably just, next episode will probably just be like, I'll sim through the playoffs to see who wins the Stanley Cup and all that. We'll take a look at all the records for every single team in the league and all that sort of stuff. It'll just be like a recap episode to end the series. So let's take a look at center court points. So Caden Matthews, 89 points this year. He had a really good year, but the team just did not have a good year. Like, he was over point per game for the second straight season. He's barely missed any NHL games in his career too, which is kind of nice. Actually, he did it a little bit earlier on in his career. But over 1,200 points. Can't complain about that. He was probably, yeah, he was the 7th overall pick. He was a really good steal when we got him. He might end up retiring this year. Then George Belanger, 48 points, which is pretty solid, but a minus 19, which is not. And yeah, definitely a down year in terms of points for him, because he had more than that the last few years. He's never missed an NHL game so far. Phil Powell, 41 points and a minus 4. Not too bad from a third liner, and actually better defensively than most of these players, so I'll take it. But yeah, pretty solid career also for Phil Powell, who could retire as well. Cameron Schumacher, 32 points, pretty good, considering he got 4th line time, and that's pretty much it, I think. Yeah, he only played 9 minutes a game. That's pretty good. Left wing wise, Isaac Dika, 61 points, 36 goals this year. Pretty solid player so far, but he's not been as good as we've needed him to be. Almost 200 goals, though, in his career, almost at this point. But we'll never get to see him with a Stanley Cup. But he's over point per game in his career playoffs, which is pretty awesome. And then Amir DeKaiser, 52 points. Yeah, his production went down a lot as well since we brought him back. But still over 1,000 points in his career, 500 goals too. Noel Andrews, 47 points. He's been okay of a player since we brought him in from Minnesota, but nothing fantastic, I would say. 22 goals is not too bad, considering his ice time. Then Matt Gustafsson in his rookie season, 30 points, pretty solid from him. Also not averaging a lot of ice time, so it seems like our offense was actually pretty good, but our defense was where we struggled. Caden Dingman had 81 points this year in 82 games. Pretty good. Also a really good player in this franchise mode. Almost 400 goals in his career. And also some pretty solid playoff stats too. Garrison, 63 points in 82 games. Pretty solid. Reardon, 38 points in 82 games. He would have only probably gotten better, but obviously he's only played 3 years in the NHL at this point. Cialfido, 30 points and a minus 11, and nothing for Bomick. Defensively, Lilia had 21 points and a +1. Somehow a plus out of every single defensive player on our team. Samson, 19 points and -2. Biggs had 17 points and was a -22. Yeah, it was a rough last season for Marcos Biggs defensively, but he's had a really good career. -24 in his career now because of that season, and also because of the season 4 years ago. Hardikainen also had 14 points and was a -17. Stapleton was 9 points and a -6. And Rodriguez was a -18. So yeah, this youngster's not that good defensively, and he's also dropped off a lot, probably because of ice time related, right? Yep. Cracknell was a -5 in 6 games with no points. And goalie-wise, our goaltending tandem was not that good. Suhonen was actually pretty good as a backup, but Stevenson really let me down this year. 25, 34, and 6 with an .880 save percentage and a 3.69. It's not too good. It's probably one of the worst in the NHL, I would assume. Let's take a look at the entire NHL for points, and we'll take a look at the standing stuff, and then that'll be pretty much it for this episode. And like I said, next episode will just be a full-on recap, kind of some of the stuff. So Valahady led the NHL with points with 123, followed by Kukkonen with 115. This guy always puts up over 100 points. Korolyuk 114. Most goals this year was Valahady and Sonnenberg with 62 goals apiece. Sonnenberg's 36 years old and he put up 62 goals. That's pretty crazy. Best defenseman for points this year was Komisarek in Colorado with 80 points in 82 games. And best goalie this year for wins was Silverthorne in Buffalo with 42 wins. Him and Eric Malone, who's in Chicago. Most shutouts this year by a starter was Silvestre in St. Louis with 7. Best save percentage by a starter was Eric Malone, but this guy's also up there, Jude Fritz. Best goals against per game by a starter was also Eric Malone, so Eric Malone's more than likely going to win the Vezina this season. Best rookie for points was Ulf Weinhandel of the Boston Bruins with 42 points. followed by Rikus in Buffalo with 41. A pretty close rookie race actually near the end of the season, it seems like. So that is that. Let's take a look at the team stats, and then like I said, that will be it for this episode. Which really sucks to think that this is it for this team. But so Toronto ends up winning the NHL in points, or yeah, they end up winning the President's Trophy. Colorado and them are both tied with 109 points apiece. Where did we finish in the entire NHL? Probably not that good. Probably like bottom 5, I would assume, because near the end of the season. Yeah, we finished 25th in the NHL, which is not that good. Goals for per game, we scored 3.16, which was where? Not that good. We were one of the worst offensive teams in the NHL. That's not good. And then goals against per game wise, we were one of the worst in the NHL as well. So yeah, everything just did not work well. I don't know how Tampa Bay made the playoffs with one of the worst goals against, though. That's kind of weird, considering they're in our division as well. Power play percentage was not that good. It looks like either, or maybe it was. No, it wasn't that good. Kind of closer to the bottom at 20.9%, and our penalty kill 77.7. Well, that's a lucky number, but like with the 3 7s, but not that good for a penalty kill. It's actually kind of in the mid-table still, but 77.7, no thanks. And we had a terrible record on home ice and an okay record on the road. If we would have won more games on home ice, we could have made the playoffs, but we had no shorthanded goals this year. That's not good. So I think that's pretty much it, if I'm not mistaken, for this episode. Let me just make sure, because I think because next episode we'll take a look at the record book for everybody. We'll find out also who wins the Stanley Cup in this season, take a look at all the awards and all that stuff, and I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, so anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Detroit Red Wings franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll just do like a finale recap, and hopefully we could take a look at some of our player stats, and hopefully we have some good memories of what our franchise mode was. But unfortunately, we only won one Stanley Cup over this series. So let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.